Hey everyone, it's Alora, and today I'm going to be talking about my recommended reads for Valentine's Day, or for the month of February in general. Now, Valentine's Day is typically associated with love, so most of these books have love as a central theme, although they are quite diverse, so stick with me, they're not all going to be the same. The first book that I want to recommend to you today is called Soppy by Philippa Rice. Now, Philippa Rice is an illustrator. She does lots of panels, and this book is so sweet. It's one of the sweetest things I've ever read. It's essentially this story about Philippa and her boyfriend moving in together for the first time, and all of the little moments. It's a very lovely book that's just showing their mutual affection for one another and how that's expressed in little daily things that people do for one another. And I just think that it has a really great message while also being very visually appealing. So I would recommend this if you don't have a lot of time, or if you have a significant other that you want to give a little gift to. This might be a sweet thing to gift to somebody, to say, I feel this way about you. The next book that I want to recommend is This Modern Love by Will Derbyshire. He is a YouTuber, and he created this compilation of letters that people sent in discussing love. Overall, it gave a very comprehensive view of love because it wasn't just showing a healthy relationship between two people who are together, but it showed all sorts of different stages in relationships and different types of relationships. The little tagline here is confessions from real people about love, heartache, and everything in between. So I thought it was really cute and worth a read. The next book to discuss is definitely a BookTube favorite, and that is Anna and the French Kiss. This is a fictional YA story about this girl, Anna, who goes to a boarding school in Paris and meets this boy named Etienne, and they fall in love. And it's just a really wonderful love story that is definitely a guilty pleasure type read, and I think that lots of people would enjoy it. So if you haven't picked it up already, I'm sure you've heard about it, but if you haven't picked it up yet, I definitely would recommend doing so, and curling up with a nice cup of hot cocoa on Valentine's Day and a cozy blanket and giving this one a read. You won't regret it. You will love it. The next book that I have to recommend is a little bit more serious in tone, and that is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I know that a lot of people read Colleen Hoover books, but a lot of people don't because of the more explicit content. This book definitely has some of that, so it's for an older audience, but it has a very powerful message about abuse. And so that is a trigger warning. If that's a problem for you and you don't want to read about it, then don't. But it really is a very brave book and a very personal book for Colleen Hoover, and I think that it has a powerful message. That's one of the things that I especially love about Colleen Hoover, is that her books, though they are romance heavy, they typically have other aspects to them also. After that, let's bring it back and go with another light book, and that is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. This is one of my favorite books of all time. I can relate to this so much, so deeply, because this is basically me. Kath is basically me when I was a freshman in college. It's the story of this twin. I guess I'm not a twin, so it's not exactly me. But it's the story of this twin who goes to college, and basically she starts to separate from her sister and starts to develop her own interests and go a different way, and it's about her finding her own path and being okay with that. But the romance in this book is super cute and it's really lovely and he's so good to her, so I would definitely recommend this one for Valentine's Day. But if you don't get a chance to read it this month, still pick it up. Rainbow Rowell is the best. Her writing style is amazing. I also love her other books like Eleanor and Park. That's another one of my favorites, but Fangirl is really great. I've now read it multiple times, and every time that I read it, I like it even more and I get more out of it. So, Fangirl. Speaking of Rainbow Rowell, I have another of her books, and this one's a little more unconventional, but very relevant to our culture right now, and that is Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. Technically, this is a fantasy book, it's not a romance book, but there is a great romance in it, and it is a homosexual relationship. And so, like I said, very relevant right now. I think it's really great that all types of relationships are being put into young adult literature, and especially a fantasy book. That's really great. And this book is really fun too. It's not just about the relationship, it's hilarious. Rainbow Rowell has a great sense of humor, and these characters are really wonderful. So I would definitely recommend getting your hands on this book. I know some people have criticized it for being too similar to Harry Potter, but I think that that was intended, and if you take the book for what it is as opposed to trying to make it Harry Potter or comparing it directly to Harry Potter, then you'll be fine. My next recommendation is actually a poetry collection, and that is Love Poems by Pablo Neruda. He is a very famous poet from Chile, and his works have been translated out of Spanish, obviously, but this particular edition has the poem in the original language and then translated into English on the right hand side. You can see how the cadence flows in both languages, you know, if there's repetition. I found it very interesting while going through this poetry collection to kind of glance over at the other side of the page and see how it looked. So I would recommend these poems. My favorites were some of the ones closer to the beginning of the collection. Also, it's a really pretty collection. Essentially, Pablo, who is a Nobel laureate, wrote all of these poems about this one woman, and he wrote them all when he was older, and so she was older too, and he wrote about their enduring love. There were a lot of earth references. He brought it back to very physical, solid things a lot of the time, like the ground and the waves and the ocean and things like that. Anyway, if you were into poetry, I think that you should maybe read this one. In February, the month of love, is the perfect time to do so. Next, I want to bring up my all-time favorite guilty pleasure read, and that is Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi. She is such a great author. Her work is very free-flowing and stream of consciousness style, and it just makes this go so quickly. You just want to read, and you're flipping through the pages like crazy. And the romance in this book, it is a love triangle, which I will admit I don't typically like, but this is a really good love triangle. So, I mean, as far as love triangles go, this one's worth reading about. And her character goes through a lot of character development, but honestly, that's not why I read this book. It was just really good. And it's a series, so you can read 3 of them, plus a novella set. Definitely perfect for Valentine's Day. My very last recommendation is a little bit different. It's nonfiction, and I've discussed it in another video before, and that is Radical Self-Love by Gala Darling. This book is a guide to loving yourself and living your dreams. This one is all about making your life full of more love and joy and pink and glitter and happiness and creativity and excitement and enchantment, and I definitely would recommend it. It discusses happiness and friendship and sex and style, and it's definitely, like I said, it's definitely geared towards women. So if you're a woman or a girl, I would definitely recommend reading this. It has a lot of tips on how to be happier within yourself and how to make your life amazing. Overall, it's just really important to remember that Valentine's Day is, yes, a day to spread love and give love to others, but it's also a day to take some time and remember how amazing and wonderful and worthy of love you yourself are. This book definitely serves to remind you of that. Even if you don't get the chance to read this book in particular, I just want to take a moment to remind you of that you are beautiful and worthy of love. Okay guys, well, those are all of my recommendations for Valentine's Day and the month of February. So if you were unsure what you wanted to read this month, maybe check out some of the recommendations that I just gave you, or maybe it just kind of gave you a general direction of books that you might want to head towards, or you could just kind of look at your shelves and randomly pick a red or a pink book off and go with that. That might be a fun thing to try too. Please, please, please let me know what your favorite books about love are. If you have any recommendations for me, leave them down in the comments and I will be sure to check them out because I'm always looking for more books on this wonderful topic. I hope that you guys are having a wonderful month. I hope that you are able to spread the love and spread the joy to yourself and to others. And until next time, stay happy, stay healthy. Bye guys.